Hi, John Wanoa here. In Whakaputanga, it's Saturday, 7th of June 2025, and just a little update of where we're heading with our claims to the British Crown and claims to the Tiriti or Waitangi regulatory standards bill that's going through at the moment, which is putting pressure on the people to go up against the government in their own private interests of property rights. They say they have the same property rights as the citizens, that they are supposed to be public servants of New Zealand, but they are self-employed people that are working two jobs for their own self-interest of a foreign private corporation company called Crown Sovereign of New Zealand. Now they're great for name swapping or name changing of the British Crown system of law to change names and adapt someone else's name on top of someone else's name, or the native people of the land who are indigenous to the land are now being compromised as the rights of citizens, which are corporate fiction people that the Crown has developed that name to go up against the capital letter name, the corporation of your name, and your live person's name in lower case letters, and the upper case letters is a corporation blueprint image of your real self, and the Crown is still using that system of sovereign bonds sold on a stock market to make money for their own private self-employed businesses in Parliament as a direct conflict of interest. As far as we're concerned, people or persons of interest that have other agendas that are foreign to us here in New Zealand. So as an indigenous surname, sovereign man of the land here, are acting as if I am Abraham Traore of Africa, the president or the new president of Burkina Faso, one of the 54 sovereign nation states of Africa, and the other African states are now gathering support for him as more or less a president of all of Africa, as one country like the United States of Africa. So they've got a new name for their conglomerate ownership of their native sovereign lands to take back their sovereignty, and that's the model I'm following as a sovereign native surname chief of our own native lands here with the British native lands. They're the ones that came here in the first place. I've got a list of years in chronological form of the lead up to the treaty, or the Treaty of Waitangi and Tiriti or Waitangi, two different versions. One Pākehā, the Treaty of Waitangi 1840, and Tiriti 1840, the Maori version of the treaty, is a valid legal contract that I'm supporting as the Whakaminenga chief historian. The traditional history of Maori and their sovereignty, and the fact that Ngāpuhi did not cede sovereignty to the New Zealand Crown or the British Crown. That's what they're maintaining in their treaty settlements, and mostly all the other tribes, iwi, have settled for less than 1% of what was actual stolen Maori land. Okay, so I'm just saying here, I'm going to read out 8 pages of what I've put together as legal instruments written on top of this video here being a live video affidavit, okay, of my own competent witness to my own documents and my own video is myself and nobody else that can speak on my behalf, the same as Abraham Traore, Traore, the South African or the African president at the moment that's making waves of kicking France out and kicking America out from any more overstanding their authority there and trying to control Africa and take over the country, as Donald Trump is saying he owns Africa, and France saying the same thing. The white man is saying they own Africa. They might own the lease, but not the land and its natural resources, which is what Traore is saying, that he has got ownership of the land and its natural resources and the people. He wants these South African people to come back from France and come back from America back to build their Africa economy, and that's what this British Crown was doing. It was extending its control of the economy with the Crown Corporation business. Okay, so that's what I'm here for, the community of corporations contract Crown business. Okay, so on my left here I've got another computer. My old computer is fixed and going well, and I've got my laptop here on the left and also another computer, an old computer. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 computers with the brand new one I've got running here now on internet, which is much better now. And I'm waiting for Dick Smith to send me the booster, and that's 1300 bits per second stick to up my signal so that I can get on the radio next Wednesday with Jani Pua Manukau and Jack Liam, the surrogate King William III of Orange, and his Orange Wave there he started up for New Zealand, and the Maoris of Huntly and the Pākehās of Huntly as well. As we got Simon and Jeff, the 2 Pākehā boys, in the studio there, and I don't need to go back there anymore. I'm going to try out my signal with Jenny before we go there on radio again and see if I have any luck this time. But it was the fault of going from one mobile to the other mobile while streaming live, and it didn't work out well. So now I'm going to stream from the video here and the camera microphone instead of the headphones, and we'll get a better test on it today. I'll give her a call and try it out and see how it goes. So there we've got the cameras, we've got the videos, and we've got the laptop and the computers all set up to go, because next week we're going to have a good go at hauling in Edie Mitchell and his theft of the lease land contract of New Zealand, 201 years, and the 303 shell companies he set up in Australia with the 17 trillion US dollar claim that I'm going after the sovereignty and lease of this country to citizens and communities of New Zealand is supposed to go to. Instead, it went to one man and a Freemason and a barrister, the three of them, and his army mates and Chinese internet sharks that stole that money off me and my brain, that put it together for a long period of time with the Morioris and with the chiefs up at Ngāpuhi mostly, and also in Ngāti where I come from, and here in Whakatane on the maraes here, Matatua and Arawa. And most of my history is with the Manukau Moriori African family, that they have Arawa and they have Waikato in their history and their traditional land transfer families with the British families of the Rogans and our family Wanoas and the Cosgroves lawyers in East Coast and the Rogan judges in Kaipara and the 10-acre land block of Aotea Native Magistrate Court, and the first of its kind of mortgage lien bank loans set up there for Auckland City from the 10-acre block in Helensville. So we've got two sets of Manukau's, the ones in Helensville and the ones in Waikato. Two sets of Manukau's and two sets of contracts. The Waikato contract is 1823, King George IV, and Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau, lease contract, 1823, first contract with New Zealand, and then you've got the 1835 Declaration of Independence in Helensville, and also in Ngāpuhi on the treaty grounds, the 1835 Constitution flag on dry land, and all the flags in the world are in the sea, including America, Canada, Australia, federal governments, and we are the other fourth missing federal government of Aotea, New Zealand, and that's supposed to be the federal government of America, of England, and on England's soil land to New Zealand soil land. That connection of Ireland in Northern Ireland to here as Ulster, North Ireland, Munster, South Ireland, and Leinster, Stewart Island here in New Zealand. The same is in Ireland, that connection there, in the history line up to the 1840 treaty and the 1840 Tiriti. I'm here to give verbal history of facts, cited evidence, and a chronological form of years of kings, emperors, back to King William I, William the Conqueror, 1066, debt management law, and the Lord Treasury started then and was transferred to King William III of Orange, 1689 to 1694 Bank of England Act, and the 1694 two-bar patented pound note Act versus the Rothschilds one-bar unpatented pound note Act. We got issues about that created the US dollar with a pyramid of the African Moriori Manukau title ownership of that stolen capstone on top of the pyramid powerhouse. That's the Moai Powerhouse. There, of the Moai Powerhouse Group, limited company put together in London for those sovereign native people of England there, and the sovereign native people of Scotland and Ireland and Wales. So I put that together, and I've got the yellow vest coat here to prove that fact, when I went across there to promote this flag of King William IV of Britain, UK. That's the flag, a British flag, that was given to us as the Kings of Britain's partner in a two-party contract. Okay, the King's Emperor's contract flag on dry land against Donald Trump's flag in the sea. That's this one here, in the sea. See that flag? There, the American flag is in the sea of Admiralty versus the flag on the land, mortgage, bank, lien, law of bank money £2 pound note versus this flag of America in the sea of Admiralty £1 pound note that has no patent rights over this flag here around the world. Nā hau e whā. North, east, south, west, those 4 8-point stars here, here, north, east, south, west, west of the world, the 8-point star of St. Patrick and Northern Ireland is us here with this flag. What I'm talking about today on this video of Affidavit, I'm going to read out true facts to match up this flag with our jurisdiction right here and my name to speak about it right here. Okay, what's his name? Put this on for me, and he's in Manchester. Huh? Blackburn. Kevin Blackburn. Put my name on this yellow vest is valid, is legal title over this flag in America, who I'm accusing stole the Crown legal inheritance of this flag that Biden used to corporatise and own the Cook Islands. He used this flag against our contract. He broke our contract, therefore he's liable America with this flag. He stole because the chiefs up at Waitangi gave this, the iwi, not the hapu, the iwi chiefs gave this flag away without the authority of the landowner hapu. Okay, I'm here for hapu in this country, New Zealand and Australia and the Pacific. The hapu of this yellow vest coat I wear with pride and conviction, and my loyalty goes to the people in Britain and the people of New Zealand to keep our honour intact with our contract. We are now the first party in a two-party contract with the British Crown. Legal inheritance we are claiming the Crown because the Queen abandoned ship while she was still with us and went to Scotland to die as a German in the wrong place, right? She's not a Scot by bloodline. She's only a Scot by convenience of the British Crown corporate fiction. Okay, so she's supposed to go and die in Germany, Frankfurt, where the money went that way, the crown jewels went that way, and the gold went that way from the British Treasury. Okay, they stole it. The Germans stole it. And that's what I'm there for, to get it all back with this flag on my back. When the British party, political party of Paul Golding, the Britain First political party, I'm going to support him when I get our 17 trillion credit line back off Eddie Mitchell and lock him up in jail forever. Okay? In Guantanamo Bay, with a few more other criminal organisation here in New Zealand operating a corporate scam business. Okay, I'm here for the business debt recovery as a mortgage bank broker. That's my profession. That's what I know and what I can do for the people of New Zealand is to put the record right. Okay, like how Donald Trump got hauled in by that American judge. Okay, she's one of the highest court judge, a black woman, pulled him up and said, he's breaking the law, he's making out that he can play around with the law in the courts, and she's put him on notice, good on her. I got her name somewhere there, but we will talk about her another day. I'm here for our court, the Native Magistrate King's Bench High Court of law, of jurisdiction, of conviction, and also determination to be self-employed, self-governing, and self-sufficient government federal of New Zealand president. Okay, so I'm here as the president of the New Zealand government company, corporation, and on equal footing with Abraham Traore, president of Africa. Okay, I might as well say the president of Africa, the whole of Africa, are supporting what he's saying. Take back your sovereignty. And we're saying the same thing in this video on behalf of Ngāpuhi, that I'm still loyal to them, whether I say bad things about them or anybody. That's me and my tupunas talking to me, to don't button up and keep information locked in your head. Let it go. Now that I've got some nice ladies, Rita and Lisa, to look after me spiritually and also with massaging me and keeping my brain and body intact, and good on them there in Whakatane, and a lot of people that I talk to, and they know now, we know that we are being suppressed and put down and told to shut up by the government in New Zealand and Trump and France and all the draconian pākehā running the world amok. Okay, I will show you in a minute how when the kings were running the world from England, it was going on a straight path with unbroken sovereignty. And then when the Queen went in, it went all up to hell. It went dirty and promiscuous stuff appearing online, and kids that are being stolen and mutilated, and people bank war from the money that's come out of Admiralty law of the land on my back, and the Admiralty law of the sea here is making a mess out of our Admiralty law of the land. Okay, we're going to strip Donald Trump from the use of our Admiralty mortgage lien bank law that he has thrown away. He's thrown it away. He's legislated it out as Admiralty law in his executive orders. He's gone and dissolved it out of America. That means us here in New Zealand as native landowners, and also China, Russia, Northern Ireland, North Canada, and also other countries that want their own sovereignty back, like Africa, wants to use their own sovereignty and their own rule of law over the draconian rule of law of Trump and Macron in Ursula in the United Nations and their NATO, all those things that are going on that are ruining people's lives. Okay, so now I'm going to read out this before I forget my train of thought, and I'll start off with Saturday, 7th of June 2025 for the record. Number 1, Regulatory Standards Bill, David Seymour, Te Tiriti or Waitangi. What should Maori do? Number 2, I have here some chronological information of the birth of New Zealand as a sovereign nation, native country, state from British colonisation through Australia, indirectly to King William IV there in 1830 to 1837, British Crown founding of New Zealand. Then, in 2 periods stated here, at 1764 Industrial Revolution, that's the period of time that the British started things off in colonising countries under corporate contract law of Westminster. Okay, on that piece of land that they put together their 4-nation state, England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland. And away they went around the world with the kings that did the Admiralty to bring the native titles, land, and from their chiefs into the Crown ownership of leased lands. In New Zealand, 2 periods stated here, at 1764, the Industrial Revolution, right up till 1820, King William III, Dutch King of Orange, King of Commercial Contracts, Bank of England, Mortgage, and 2-bar Patterson pound note, patent. King William III, number 3, of Orange, is succeeded by King George IV in 1820 to 1830, King William IV founding of New Zealand a second time after 1820, the first time. So there we are. King George IV contract in Waikato at Cambridge or Arapuni or Punga Marae in Maungatautari Mountain was the first contract of leased land that Eddie Mitchell stole from Tainui, stole off my head on the traditional title there. In Maungatautari I've got all that history intact, and the Mitchells can't string that lot together to claim 17 trillion, which is what we're going to end up with at the end of this video. King George IV in 1820 to 1830, then he was taken over by King William IV, the second brother. Okay, so from King William III of Orange to King William IV through King George IV and of New Zealand second time. That's the second contract of King George IV founding of New Zealand by native leased land contract with Paramount Chief Te Waikato Wharehere in Manukau at Punga Marae, Maungatautari Mountain, Cambridge, linked to Cambridge, England, leased land native title transfer in 1823, which is 201 years contract stolen by Tainui corporate director Eddie Mitchell. So what I'm saying here is we go from King George IV and that lease contract, what I'm going to deal with, before we go on to King William IV and this yellow vest jacket, and that period, that contract up at Waitangi, Te Tiriti or Waitangi, which they're arguing with the Crown of New Zealand government, and that's at present time. I want to address that today in this video. So number 4, Corporate Director Eddie Mitchell of the Mitchell Family Trust, money laundering property developer originally from Sydney, Australia, prison convicts who has stolen the sovereignty of citizens of New Zealand, evolved families, culture, heritage. He's stolen the heritage, the communities who should have been the claimants of the US dollar 17 trillion to the British Crown settlement that no one is supporting me in a Give a Little campaign to raise money to pay a conveyancing lawyer who has all my legal information. That's to deal with Eddie Mitchell and the stolen 17 trillion I want back for the first contract of New Zealand. That's the first contract, lease. King George IV lease. Okay, I want that back. And before we go on to the King William IV contract, the second contract. So who has all my legal information of the traditional history of events of my claim on behalf of the sovereignty native born citizens of New Zealand and Pacific Islands. And if this is the case, then I have made a legal decision to set up a world fund for 257 countries who benefit from the valuable research of historic proof of claim information that I will share with the government, the communities, share with the communities who I will allocate the funds through a bank of a country who may support our country of sovereign citizens of New Zealand claims to that 17 trillion stolen money distributed on the Federal Republic Government of Aotea, New Zealand, and Dutch Protestant Church of St. Patrick, 8-point star Municipal Corporations Act of King William IV, flag, sovereign authority, High Court jurisdiction of the land lease laws of England and Wales, Mason Property Trust Act. So that's going on from the first contract in 1823 to the second contract of 1835, link over on our land here in New Zealand. The difference between one contract, one king, and another contract, one king and a chief. Two chiefs, one first contract lease land, the second is the flag contract on my back, and where that has gone around the world. The first one was just here, the lease, and the second contract went around the world, and that's the one the Queen stole and took it around the world on our behalf. So we claim back all of that wealth stolen illegally when they don't have a patented pound note was the first offence. Okay, there's many more offences after that. Name changing is another offence. Flag, putting a flag up. That's Cindy Kiro putting her Japanese Maori flag up over the top of this flag at the back, the founding flag of New Zealand, trying to change the flag and constitution to a new constitution when the flag is the Constitution 1835 and the Municipal Corporations Act 1835 to pick up the land lease of New Zealand, which has proven that Eddie Mitchell has run off with it, and that proves that we can do the same model of every other native country which is going to come after this one, when we get this one going. I say we when it's me, and setting up the documents of legal inheritance to the claim of the Crown's business in England, because they ran off from us and left us on our own devices to try and figure out what to do. So there. And then we go to 6. I say today that the Maori have a commercial contract with Queen Victoria and New South Wales Crown Corporation Government in New South Wales and New Zealand Crown Private Corporation contract and 1840 Treaty of Waitangi and Tiriti of Waitangi, 2 separate contracts there as separate from our King George IV and King William IV British title straight there. One around the corner and the other straight there. Okay? You can't take both and try and think you can do both with no court of record, no history, no information from your mouth to back up what you're saying. I'm here standing, backing myself up, backing those people in England, and especially on England's soil land, and I'm standing on our soil land here, talking and making claims, making public statements, making everything that's going to be possible in a court that's here and in Africa, the Moriori Manukau from Africa, and Traore. Abraham Traore, this is your Manukau talking, and me. Okay, so there, I'm saying, here's the African. Egypt is going to get their land back and kick those white people out of there if they misbehave on their land and get their capstone on top of the pyramid back and put Donald Trump and his thieving of that capstone on top for his US useless dollar. And now he's throwing away his useless US dollar and putting his own self-interest crypto, fraudulent, corrupted crypto in its place. But he's still keeping the fiat fraud money that's come out of a fraud £1 pound note, and he's keeping it as a commodity token. That's a container, a 40-foot container full of useless US dollars stacked up in there because they've got no means of making cash but a tainted, corrupt, money laundering US dollar. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is fraud from the day that Queen Victoria took over and took out King Ernest Augustus I, the third brother in a line of continuity of sovereignty from William the Conqueror, straight through William III of Orange, straight through King George IV, straight through King William IV, straight through King Ernest Augustus I, three brothers, straight to King Ernest Augustus V living in London. That's the successor, but if he doesn't want to be king, I've got the Romeo and Juliet robots. King, Romeo and Juliet, Queen, to take the human control off Westminster and put it in two robots. And that's what we're using AI as our federal government of New Zealand and Pacific Islands and Asia and the world. Okay, we're using that authority of AI and the technology of Russia and China. We're leaving America right out. I'm saying the same as Abraham Traore. I admire you and your courage and determination and self-governing mind to take your sovereignty back off France and America, then do everything yourself. Now that you've got your own autonomy, you've made your own airplane, passenger airplane, and now you've got a brilliant person there that's created a generator that makes power on a car that doesn't need fuel or batteries. How about that one? That's just brand new from a brilliant mind of a black African that's put that together. You see, you haven't seen anything yet because those people are spiritual to the land. They know what to do with the land. They were born as part of the land. And that goes with us too here in New Zealand. We're part of the land, the trees, the sea, and our culture means the same as Africa and the Manukau, Moriori, African, Taiwanese background of Mohi Manukau, who I'm here for, as he's the Freemason, and I'm using his higher intellect information on my documents that cover him and not so much his family, because this was a closed shop matter with the Freemasons, who have kept a dark secret to themselves. That's where everything is gone haywire now that Eddie Mitchell has liable all the Freemasons who are doing the same as Eddie Mitchell for wealth and for luxury and stolen property. That's Eddie has stolen the intelligence from my head is equal to the Africans and their head to use information for community and the spirit of the people of the land. That's Pākehā, Indian, Chinese, everybody living on the land and looking after it as kaitiaki and sharing knowledge instead of one-man band. We don't believe in one-man band, gambling on a stock market or making money other than losing money at the same time. I don't trust Donald Trump and his crypto because press the wrong button and you lose the lot. That is why they like fraud. They can't live without fraud. They can't live without crime, war, bank war, and now that he's got no mortgage, he's legislated it out, which was a dumb thing to do, and that's what Jeff Sachs, professor of economy and trade relations with other countries, and he's saying Donald Trump has gone the wrong way and sold America down the drain, and that's why people turned off Donald Trump. He's lost a lot of trade, and China says it doesn't go back and forgive that much of ignorance and arrogance of white man. That Jeff Sachs is a white man too, but he's saying, I'm American, he says, and I don't like what he's doing. I don't like anything anyone does in there because it is control and money that got wealth on their heads, and they don't care about anybody's health or wealth or existence. And Donald Trump is calling Africans hoodlums or whatever, scum of the earth. There's another name I can't think of at the moment. And so he's being ingenuous and not respectful of the country that where he gets his wealth from, Africa, and no thanks given to them or no recompense for raking everything out of their country, the minerals, the wealth, and leaving them with nothing. The same as France, ignorant and arrogant as well, to say they should be thanking us or thanking France, and Traoré says, no, you should be thanking us for taking everything to make your wealth and everything. You won't get it now, no more. So we're saying the same thing here in New Zealand, no more. France, no more America, no more Britain, and we're going to go with Russia and BRICS, go with North Korea, and go with China, and go with Mexico, and go with the countries, Africa, that have joined in a better management system, a better talking trade system, and not a one-man stand-alone big control over you. And New World Order, you'll own nothing and be happy, will not be happy with that regime in our face right now with the Regulatory Standards Bill of David Seymour and dare I say it, Winston Peters, that's being nasty to the Maori party and saying he's got scribbles all over his face. Those are not things I would ever have seen a politician who's a Maori say that to another Maori. Is very degrading and defamatory. It's a defamation order on him by those people he's insulting that have their whakapapa or their genealogy on their face. It's their business what they do with their body, not Winston to talk and say horrible things about it. But I don't like carving on my face, but that's not me. They're allowed to do what they like with their body. I don't like all things on my body. God gave you a clean face, and he says my moai's got a clean face too. All my carvings is on my ass, not on my face. So I want my face clear so you can see I'm honest, straight up, I don't hide anything, and I want to tell the truth, and that's what gets me through. The truth prevails over lies, as you can see in my documents. So I'm going on to 6, now I say today that Maori have commercial contract with Queen Victoria and New South Wales Corporation Government and using Crown Private Corporation contract with Tiriti. I'm saying things about Tiriti now in this lineup of things I've written down here, and what's going to happen. What's going to happen, and whether they're going to pass the second reading or dump it. There's been calls to dump that act. It's only an act, it's not a law. It's most of things in government, the Constitution is just an act, it's not a law. And they're going back to 1852 and picking up the Constitution of Britain, what gave to New Zealand, and they're starting to use that in this little cheeky little parliament here in New Zealand. So they are tampering with contract. They're tampering with your contract, Ngāpuhi. That's your contract up there. I'm looking after the Waikato contract of Te Waikato in Helensville. Okay, I'm looking after that one with this flag on the wooden structure, plywood or whatever, with the Freemasons and Mo'i Manukau, his Confederation of United Tribes there, and the Aotea Native Magistrate Court Bank. That's the first bank, Aotea Bank, and that's the bank that went to the United Nations, whereas the Akaroa Bank in the South Island went to become the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. New Zealand Reserve Bank is that Akaroa Bank in South Island versus this Aotea Bank in Helensville, 10-acre block of land, mortgage square, contract, got an end date. Your Treaty of Waitangi and Tiriti got no end date, right? It's got no end date, which is not a contract, really. It's frivolous. It is not true to its word. It's not a contract because it doesn't have an end date. The contract in Helensville has got an end date on it, and that's due because I said we're calling up the account, we're calling up the settlement, and that's what Eddie Mitchell ran off with. He ran off with the settlement contract. Okay, he ran off with it, the money, because he's got money on his brain and thieving, pirate on the high sea, right, in the prison convicts of Australia. That's Mitchell, that's one of them. And all those other ones with their names from there, Jackson and all the rest of them. I know who's a pirate in the sea. They're working in Parliament in Wellington. All those Maoris in there versus all the Maoris outside of Parliament. Okay, you got two sets of Maoris. One with a thieving brain and the other trying to get something out of that crown in Wellington. Why don't they ask this crown in Britain and this yellow vest of Britain and that crown? Why didn't you ask that crown who is running that crown? Steimer and those other fellows there that have sold it off to the Muslims in the native magistrate court there. The Muslims are running that. If you look in all the government departments, they've got Muslims running. That's just another tribe like Maori. They just made that Muslim tribe bigger and bigger and bigger with anybody from there and there and there, and immigrated them out of their land in Africa into another country and said, go to Britain, go there and we'll give you everything, right? So the African went there, they give them everything, house, anything they want, and the benefit too. Okay, they got the benefit. And all those British people got kicked out of the way, chucked on the street, and all the immigrants have all the government's handouts. Okay? They have the same property rights as the original indigenous natives of England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland, who are fighting like mad to get them off their land, which was chaos. That's how the British did that. The British designed that Then Trump came along, went to England, said to the Queen, let's make a deal. Let's make a Jesuit Freemason deal with you. I'm a Freemason, you're a Freemason, you're head of the Freemasons. Here in England, let's sign a little contract in the back of the room there, at the back of Westminster. Me and you, and a dog named Boo. Okay, we'll go and do that so people can't see it, a private contract. Nobody's business. Well, I'm saying the same thing here. It's nobody's business to tell me what to do behind a closed door when I've got it out in the open, so you can see what I'm doing, to see if it stacks up. So far, so good. It's stacking up because everybody's silent. They're not saying nothing. Who is going to tell Eddie Mitchell, where's the money, Eddie? And pay the bill for the lawyer to take him in to tell him where's our money. Why don't you all do that? Why don't you all go with Jack Liam in the radio station when I go on, then go and put some money to pay the lawyer, Yu Tai Choi, the South Korean in Auckland, who's got all this stuff, every little bit of the Manukau history, the African Manukau history, Moriori, and got my Wanoa history of the East Cape, and the history of the Maori within my family in Aotea, in Taputapu Aotea Marae in Tahiti, and also in East Island in Rapa Nui, there to Mokanui on my land block at the East Cape. Te Pito there to Te Pito there. The birth of New Zealand here at the East Cape with the first light sun in the world is there on my land block, and Te Pito, the birth of the world in East Island. Rapa Nui. Rapa Nui, big shine, sun right up at midday, and Te Pito East Coast, the first sun in the morning, and the Moko, big face, Moko Nui, big face, there of the sun first thing in the morning, okay, in the world. Closest distance to the sun is there. That's my legacy of jurisdiction to God up there. Truth, law, Lore, and tikanga law is there in my family in Tahiti, and also the Moai standing in London in Queen Elizabeth's Great Court is my legacy to East Island there, and the way I'm talking about that Moai statue is my authority to talk for the rest of the world, where we're going to with this Crown legal inheritance to the Crown assets and all its business that I'm taking on, and the rest of the people in the world who care to go and help me get some money to get some money. It's like that. A little bit of money to get a big bit of money. And that's money talk. That's the LAW law of this King William IV on my back. The LAW, law of money, law of mortgages and liens and bank loans. And, dare I say it, liquidation of anybody's assets, like Eddie Mitchell. You got a liquidation on your head and a mortgage on your head. 970 million trillion pound note. I'll keep saying that amount all the time because the crypto will never ever match it, and the pound note 1 bar will never match it because very soon we'll be printing the 2 bar pound note to take the 1 bar out. They're starting to liquidate everything into crypto at the moment. That's Donald Trump saying no more US dollar. It's a dinosaur, he's saying. It's useless. No, you're useless, Donald Trump, because you screwed everybody with the capstone on top of the pyramid and stole the Africans' mana. You know what they're going to do? They're going to show you just how much knowledge they've got. After the car that goes around with nothing to fill it up with batteries, no batteries, just the frequency. They're in touch with the Earth planet. They belong to the Earth, just the same as us. Me and the Moai is Earth crown on his head in Otago Museum in Dunedin, South Island, New Zealand. That's the crown on his head that Queen Elizabeth II stole that Maori off East Island and put it down here for her title to New Zealand, where the mana is of the Earth planet. How about that one for a story? Who's going to believe that story? Only those that believe in God. God's people. They'll believe in God's stories and God's creation. And Musk, I'm afraid, you're not allowed to go above the land of Africa to put your satellites up there because China's already got theirs in place and Russia's got their military on the land and they got the jets going around the world with Abraham Traore closely guarded because Putin knows a thing or two about looking after people's dignity and their respect to now trade with Traore and Russia and China, Xi Jinping, and the President of China, Prime Minister, President of China, and so that's way that Jeff Sachs says the only way to end the war is to start talking to each other. Well, America doesn't want a peace. They can't handle peace. They're not going to get peace. And Israel saying they want peace. No, they want war. And China flew above Gaza in Palestine and dropped all the supplies in, and there they move because they got about flattened out if they got in the way of China. So that's just the first move, intention of China making the first move and Russia making the first move with their military, and then America submarines came out of the water in China because Russia has got something going on where you're not safe under the sea around Russia and China. You're not going to be safe sneaking around in a submarine because they've got the area mapped out on their backyard. You can't go anywhere in there because you'll get taken out with the drones. The drones are ready to go, and they got planes full of drones that come and drop them whole lot around, and that's the end of you. Okay, so I don't want to talk about war too much. I just want to talk about what our intention is to do with Tiriti or Waitangi and the Regulatory Standards Bill of David Seymour and those rogue politicians in the New Zealand Parliament. Okay? They've got this coming, the 390-page book of jurisdiction of the kings I'm talking about, the seals. It's loaded with seals of the British Crown and Westminster Parliament and us with Moai and a few other things there. We'll have Traore in there as well when I finish putting everything together, and the pyramid capstone that is on the US dollar will be on our pound note. That's to challenge Donald Trump and his US dollar would never had the permission or the right to use an indigenous African black man's history and Jesus to go over the top of the black Africans' Egypt history and steal it and make money out of it. No, we're going to claim all that back with the Crown Authority over this flag here and its jurisdiction. You got your jurisdiction in the sea, Donald Trump, and not on the land. You get a mortgage on the land, you must go back into the sea where you came from in the first place and try and swim back to Scotland, and they don't want you back there either because they'll take your golf course with the orders of our partners who are now the Britain First, and Paul Golding, their leader, and his deputy leader, the woman, I forget her name now, but the group that's on the photo in my book is the authority and our business partner. They're our corporate business partner On the fiction side, I'm taking that back to the common law people, and Donald Trump's got the cheek to use common law of kings when he's not a king. He's got no authority line up of kings that got the mortgage in the first place. That's what I'm holding in this video as proof of claim and the fact-cited evidence of this video as proof that I do say what I say is the truth, and I want you to know that I'm here for the people and not for me. Okay, that's why I don't make money out of anybody yet. Okay, I'm only there for the knowledge to see how things work on the land and in the sea too, and in the sky. I got a mortgage on the sky and all those satellites out there. 970 million trillion pound note on you, Elon Musk, and your satellites up there. You got a mortgage on them. Okay, you got a mortgage right out of the world from Westminster Parliament and the Muslims out of the way. There, because they don't have this, what I've got, the jurisdiction for making mortgage money. Going to make mortgage out of them and all their mosques over there. And the Church of England, I'll reinstate the Church of England because that's where everything started from, and I want that back with the Protestant Church, St. Patrick, and the Catholic Church driven right out. Okay, because it's filthy, dirty, and stolen, all that gold underneath the Vatican, all those memorials, all the native chiefs' memorials in all those countries he's robbed, the Pope and all those Mongols have robbed, and America has robbed as well, and gone and stolen our right, our property rights from Westminster Parliament. Any third body that's tampering or messing around with our contract, you get the bill. Donald Trump, because you're messing around with my contract with Paul Golding and those native people of England I'm talking about, not Scotland and Ireland, England. Okay, because all our corporate companies are in Ireland and all the land titles of the Freemasons is in Scotland, so the Scots are playing up in America and you're one of them, Donald Trump. You're a Scot playing up as if your instrument of a mortgage is the title holder to the land. No, it's not. It's the Bank of England, the mortgage master. Okay, the Grand Master, King Ernest Augustus I, was a Grand Master of the Church of England and the Westminster Parliament. There, that goes to show the three brothers on our seals. I've got all that jurisdiction behind what I say. Here, me and Africa, Moriori Manukau, Africa, and Abraham Chowray, the president of 454 native sovereign countries in Africa. 54 presidents, 54 flags, 54 countries, and one beautiful president of 54 presidents, all support one United States of Africa and the high intellect brain. Okay, that's where the knowledge is, there with those people. That's where the world started from, Africa. Ends with Africa. And the Maori statue in London. Corporatised. Our Maori statue corporatised the black Africans, Egypt, capstone on top of the pyramid, but the earth with its spinning motor in the middle, the rotor in the middle of the earth, that's the Maori's generator for the whole world and universe. It's powered by the earth, motor, generator, battery in one, all in the frequency, in the middle of the earth, and that's the motor I'm going to build in some stage with the Africans and their brilliant minds. I want Chare and a few Africans to talk to next, because I don't talk to many people about this plasma engine that I'm doing, frequency plasma engine, gas electric. It's very good, the engine, because it's something nobody's touched yet. Not even Musk can go that close to that invention and that economy. The water money currency and also the magnet currency of Africa and Maori. The pyramid and the Maya statue. Earth planet invention. Okay, so there. King Ernest Augustus the Fifth successor. He's alive in England. He's about 82. And he's the successor living in England. The Maori Crown Queen Victoria Trust, which is Maori Crown statue memorial standing in London as my native land title to the whole world planet, and the Maori standing in Aotea Museum, Dunedin, South Island, which has an Earth World dirt rock crown on his head. Claim to New Zealand land lease title of 17 trillion US dollars stolen by Eddie Mitchell, who is not an indigenous native surname. So that's 6. That one, gone. 7. In 1834, as noted here in this report, summary of international and local events and connections leading to the Treaty of Waitangi, expansion of the British economy, Paramount Chief Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau, Moriori African, is not mentioned ever yet. He signed the native land lease contract with King George IV in 1823, shows you the British Crown founder of New Zealand in 1820, when both Cook Islander Hongihika and Moriori African New Zealander indigenous surname Manukau, Chief Te Waikato went to England, Hongihika went for the muskets, and Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau went for the native land lease contract, which is what I legally write, the traditional history of that title and not Maori contemporary history, British with history with chiefs called Tamati Whakanene and Paraoni, and Pomare means Palmer. Pomare means Palmer, Paraoni means brown, and Tamaki means Thomas, Waka means walker, Nene means queer or old lady, Nana. So that is Maori, transliteration of Maori meaning. These so-called chiefs were white men married to a black native woman, both meaning Maori, Pākehā, brown and white minstrels, show in a foreign land of name changing, as found in Wikipedia Chronicles of Freemasonry scholars. So that's page 7, and page 8 is 1825. New Zealand Company changes the Manukau Land Company name into the New Zealand Land Company in England, not in New Zealand or Australia. Contract Queen Victoria in Australia, and the Manukau Land Company was changed in England to the New Zealand Land Company that these New Zealand Crown Corporation agents, Crown agents of New Zealand Crown, went to England to get the name of the Manukau Land Company changed into a company registered there for here, the New Zealand Company. That was done by these Maoris here and Pākehās in New Zealand. Parliament went to England to change the Manukau's name into their name here and took over the Manukau legacy the Manukau Harbour is the centre of all treaty claims, reference point. So when they slipped their wakas into the Manukau Harbour, that's the history they're going under. Why Mohi Manukau said to me, they slipped their wakas into my Manukau Harbour, so I saw them coming. I said, where's your waka? They said, we've got our waka coming into your harbour. So there, that still stands in the history. I have the traditional history of all the wakas coming from the east coast of New Zealand to the west coast and dropping their wakas, sliding them in the mud into the Manukau Harbour on their treaty claims. So why isn't it called Tainui Harbour? Why call it Manukau Harbour? The British called it Manukau Harbour, not the government in Wellington. So why didn't they let me and Mohi Manukau do his Y121 treaty claim and Tiriti claim? Why didn't they let us take the Auckland Cook Street title that Mohi Manukau wanted back into his name as an unregistered interest landowner, which they're supposed to do? They're supposed to put any interested parties' names on the title. They turned our title down, our affidavit title to claim as an unregistered Manukau name. They turned it down and put Kāwharu, the professor, that's not a Kāwharu. He is a Pākehā name, not Manukau name, not Kāwharu name. He's just adopted the name into his Kāwharus in Kaipara Harbour over the Manukau's name. They took out his indigenous Moriori African surname and put in a Pākehā Kāwharu whangai adopted surname that he come from Ashburton in the South Island. Those Pākehās down there put their title on over the 10-acre block of land under the Freemasons. Will sort that out. They know who's who in the zoo. So they'll sort that lot out when I go back to England. I set up the native court there in the Rolls building in the Admiralty Law Court in London. And I'll take anybody there if they argue against the 1 trillion Moai pound note, Patterson pound note, bail bond on their head. You've got a bail bond and your photo in the native court of Admiralty in London and the Freemasons symbol of the compass and the square on the document at the bottom beside the Moai tidal turbine. That means that the Freemasons are there for the community. That's where the money's supposed to go, not into Eddie Mitchell's family trust. So you'll have to help me on this one, whether you want anything to do with it or not. Of 50 years of research, and I'm just opening the door to let people come in to help to pay that lawyer in Auckland, Utai Choi, the Korean that's gone with the Kawi engineers in Denmark and Dutch company, Kawi engineers, design engineers of the tidal turbine that I'm putting together, and he will do all the claims I got against anybody with their photo in there. You're going to have to open your mouth and say something, because I can't be silent about it. Anything I say is truth, fact, cited evidence, and my own self talking for my own self. So, I'll go from here. Maori from Australia, Queen Victoria or Wikitoria, as ambiguous. In 1830, Samuel Marsden calls Maori as Maori from Australia, Queen Victoria. This is going back to 1830. They're saying there was Maori then. So why have a native court when there's a Maori to make a Maori land court? Why didn't they do Maori land court back then instead of a native court first and then a Maori land court? The Maori put their land court together in 1840 when the war started. They had to start a war before the Maori land court kicks in, because they sent the Maoris to war, and when they came back there was no land there. It took the whole bloody lot. And or Kaiho Bay and Mission Bay in Auckland, they took all that lot. When those Maoris went to war, came back, they were using the Boer War in Africa, of all places. They'd gone to Africa. When they came back from the war back here, their land was gone. They said, where's our land? Oh, we sold it to pay the rates. You need to pay the rates. So we're going to use the same method, rates. You pay the new rates. Okay, you need to pay the new rates of the Maori Federal Government of New Zealand. Okay, the Maori Crown Federal Government of New Zealand. And see how you're going to get on with that lot when we get this kicked off very soon. Getting close. We just need to capture Eddie Mitchell, put him in prison, take their money and all that properties in Australia, 17 trillion worth of shopping malls, expensive property, the kind of thing a corporate would do in Dubai and Saudi Arabia. All the rich people there, that's where Trump's gone. He's gone there as the king of Saudi Arabia, is his king of his kingdom of money laundering and wealth and stolen property. He's gone there to get support for his crypto in America. And that's what we're facing. We're facing Donald Trump trying to say New Zealand belongs to America, Australia belongs to America, Canada belongs to America. That's how he's talking. And France is saying the same thing too. Africa belongs to America, Africa belongs to France, and Africa is saying, no, we're not giving you, stay out of here. We've got Russia here now with their military, and we've got China with all the satellites all around the place to look after us. And I'm going to ask the Chinese to do the same thing here, and ask the Russians to do the same thing here, and Kim Jong-un in North Korea to do the same thing for us, because we've got Yu Tai-choi, South Korean, is sort of more American, but anyway, he's a Korean, and he's had enough of Donald Trump and America. He wants to pull away like Japan, says to America, no more lending you money. And America says, that's all right, because we don't need you anymore, Japan. We blew you up the first time. Better watch your mouth, we'll blow you up again, because we're used to 9/11 and blowing things up, because that's what we want, something to blow up. So Putin says, well, go near Traore, go near Ibrahim Traore, and you'll see what's coming. If you threaten him, because we've got our shield around him, and you can't see where we are, because we're going to pounce on anybody who tries to. So you had 20 attempts at his murder. That's all you got on your brain, Donald Trump. Murder. The same as Netanyahu in Israel. Murder. You can't live without murder. And you need more people to be murdered if they get in your road on their own land. We're the same here in New Zealand. Don't come and take our land, because we're going to use the British Crown on you, and Paul Golding there and his political party and our political party in Britain, the Maori King William IV Party. I'm going to kick that one off, print the money, print the £2 pound note, and liquidate anybody who's playing around with our contract between New Zealand and the Tiriti of Waitangi and the Whakaminenga and Whakaputanga on that side of the flag on my back, and also the Confederation of Chiefs of the tribes of New Zealand and Pacific Islands as one family. Okay, one native Pacific Ring of Fire boundary area family. Okay, that includes Asia and the Melanesians and Polynesians and all the people in the Pacific that's banked onto the back of us. Okay, America, we've had enough of your bullying, and you've got a bad leader. You had a bad one before, and you got a worse than bad one again that's trying to bully your way on the stock market and on other countries who want to buy your crypto. We don't want it, and they don't want it either. Africa's got its own money, its own land resources, and it's making billions already in trade, in oil. Okay, they got more oil than Saudi Arabia, and they'll put them out of business before long, because those guys have got cars, new cars for $14,000, and cheap as out, and it doesn't need batteries, it doesn't need fuel, it doesn't need nothing. It's running on plain frequency, and that's too much for Tesla, and Musk can't get that close. My engine is similar to that, only it's beefed up some more. I'm going to talk to the Africans and see how bright they are. They're not professors. They don't need to be professors. They are men of the land. They know how to treat the land and its natural resources shared equally, not go and plunder it and pull it a bit for yourself and your wealth and all your nice properties and cars, and too many cars, too many houses for one man. What are you there for, Donald Trump? Is to line your pockets and feed yourself off others' gratitude. Okay, so there. No more. And that's the message from Africa. No more. That's the message from New Zealand. No more. And that'll be the message from Australia and Canada. Our partners in Canada, Clarence Moya and Harvey Joseph Kinamato, my partners there. There'll be no more from Canada. And King Charlie has gone there to try and be the defender of the faith and the King of Canada. No way, because the Canadians have had enough of the monarch, and that monarch family is no good. We're going back to the original, King William III of Orange and Jack, Liam in Hamilton, New Zealand, and his ancestral connections to the land, and he's a backer of the Whakaminenga and Jenny Puamanuka there, and her is a Dutch, and Jack is a Dutch, and New Zealand as a Dutch founded country, and us, their partners. And so there, I'm just about finished here. Then I can pick that document up and read it off to you. Now, I'm going to finish this a little bit here. Start with the Maori Land Court instead of a native land court of Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau in 1823. Hang on, better start from here. In 1830, Samuel Marsden called Maori as Maori from Australia, Queen Victoria, as ambiguous. It's ambiguous, and if Maori were here before natives, then why was a native land court set up prior to the Maori Land Court in 1945? For why didn't the New Zealand Crown start with a Maori Land Court in 1820? And how they talking about Maori back then? Where's the proof? Where is the proof that Maori existed in 1820 and 1830? And why have a native court when there was Maori then? Why is there no Maori in the world and no Maori in London on the record? Of a native land court of Te Waikato in 1823, sold as native land. In 1823, the land was sold as a contract of leased land of native land court in Waikato and not Maori land court. Te Waikato was not a Maori. He was an African, native of New Zealand, from Africa. You better think about that one for a little while you're doing your Tiriti claims and the Y121, Moriori, Manukau, Ngā Atua, Ngāti Whā Atua, Hapu. That's who I represent. Ngāti Whā Atua, Hapu of Manukau, Y121, and not Ngāti Whātua. The Ngāti Whātua bastardised the Ngāti Whā Atua. Atua. There's nothing in Ngāti Whātua. There's no spirit in Ngāti Whātua. That's a white man in Wellington with Maoris and Pākehās that dreamt that one up. They stole the Manukau Ngāti Whā Atua up there. That's God. That's the real name of God in the universe is Atua. Not Eor, Atua. That's the Africa first. There's no Eor in Africa. You better take note of that statement I'm saying. They don't have Eor. They only have Atua. The Africa, Manukau, is Atua in their language. When the Hebrew goes back to the black African Hebrew of the white Jesus, back to the black Jesus, which is what a few of them there have been trying to tell me for years. Yeshua is black Jesus, not white Jesus. They copycat. That's what they did. The white man settlers that settled on their land copycat. Same here. They settled on their land and copycat. So I'm copycatting the Freemason. See, goes both ways. I'm copycatting a Freemason's brain because the Rogan is a Freemason. The Manukau is a Freemason. I'm not a Freemason. I'm a copycat of the Freemason. I'm not allowed to do that as a successor to Mohi Manukau. That's why I talk like this. I'm in a good mood today. When I'm in a bad mood, it means someone made me like that. You look at someone talking rough, they're starting to fade away, and then I go back to normal. When there's rough people talking, I go rough. When there's people talking pirate talk, I talk pirate talk. When there's no more pirates, I don't talk to a pirate anymore. I talk to normal people. That's who I'm trying to find in New Zealand. Normal people. Not ab-origins, like Kate Frost is saying. The German says ab-normal. Okay? Normal people is aborigine. And she's trying to explain our life to me and saying to me, oh, you're all aboriginal. Yeah, aborigine. That's what she's trying to say. You're aborigine. That's a German term. She says she owns Chatham Islands. I said, no, you don't. That's how Germans talk all the time, because they come and say, that's ours, because we got a piece of paper that says so. I've got a piece of paper here too, Kate Frost. It says, you go home if you lie to me and talk stupid in front of me. I say, you go home, because you got no mortgage. You got no mortgage. The mortgage wins over the military law. Military got their money from Admiralty mortgage law of these kings I'm talking about. Where is your King's Admiralty money bank, Kate Frost? Or did you steal it? Did you Germans steal it? I'm talking nicely now because I want you to come here and talk in front of the people here at Waitangi. See, and tell them you got here first. The Germans got here first with their indigenous surname. There was Germans here. There were Chinese here before you. There was Spanish here before you. There was a lot more people here before you. There was all the Pacific people here before you. You came because you were looking for birds. It was something to make history about. All your story and your history in Germany was pinched from the native people. They invaded with the British land laws of England and Wales. No Germans there. You went to Germany to set your business up on England's soil sovereign land. It's still there, where you and your Catholic Church came in there and King William III of Orange beat the hell out of you and kicked you right out of the way. And there you are grovelling back with the Pope dead now. Another Pope pops up to try and keep the racket going. That's what Jordan Maxwell says. It's a racket. Tennis match. Okay. In 1823, Te Waikato sold the land lease as native lease land contract to King George IV. Does not make legal sense now that Eddie Mitchell has received 17 trillion US dollars of the traditional history court of law record to the British High Court, Supreme Court, to as a native chief of that contract. The Mitchell does not have a white man's contract to a white man king. It's impossible for Eddie Mitchell to claim that native chief's title as a Mitchell white man from England. People, are you listening to me, or you just think I'm a flower on the wall of law? And I didn't go to law school. I just picked it up on the go. A native chief of that contract money doesn't stack up legally, then why are the Newton Crown solicitors and politicians Sheriff's Ford Office, police, judges, courts not arresting Eddie Mitchell for money laundering, a criminal from extorting the people's land lease contract money claims? Why isn't anybody supporting me to get him locked up and put into court and pay for the court to get 17 trillion? Why don't you pay 50,000? That's what you Tai Troy, that's how much work he has done, quite a bit of work with Aylett, Graham Aylett, ex-Scotland Yard up in Browns Bay. I haven't paid him yet. He's done a lot of work too. And I said, I'll pay you when I get Cook Street. I haven't got Cook Street yet because the Crown in Wellington took the Manukau title off the Cook Street land where they can't prove who they got it off. They won't say who they bought it off. They took it off the Manukau, and that was the chiefs of Ngāpuhi and Tainui that did that and made a deal with the Crown in Wellington and left the Manukau out. So now the Manukau here and Tainui in Africa is the two Africans and me with the Maori statue standing in London, the Queen Victoria, Crown of Maori statue, corporatised contract with me against you, Donald Trump. And where did you get your claim to the gold underneath the Vatican? Where did you get your claim of the gold under Westminster and all the gold in the countries that have hoarded it for the Crown Corporation in England, when you don't have a court of record of any sort with a Trump name beside my name and this flag on my back versus your flag here on the front? Here, where is your jurisdiction here to put up against me, Donald Trump? Where is your jurisdiction against this with the seals up here and the seals along here? Where is your jurisdiction, Donald Trump, before we go on anywhere? If Facebook takes me out, I'm telling you today, they're reviewing my posts as something they were offended by, and they're going to delete all my 87 Facebook sites that's taken me years since 2008 to put together all this, but I've got it in books form. If they take it out, it means a sign of guilt and distortion of information that's beneficial to the sovereign native people of the world. If I go on Facebook, you'll know that Donald Trump and Netanyahu in Israel and also France government, the UN, NATO, and the US federal government, the Canadian federal government, the Australian federal government, the Crown of England, the Crown all over the world, the agents of the Crown, and the UN Council is guilty as much as 970 million trillion pound note on Facebook. If they take me off Facebook, they get that bill on their head and their photos in their court, because their photos are not in there yet. Donald Trump's photo is in there, Elon Musk's photo is in there, Starmer's photo is in there, and all the politicians in New Zealand photos in there. You can't get it off while I'm in charge of this native court for the whole of 257 countries in the world, including Africa. And Abraham Charles Ray, I'm there with him as well to represent his country, 54 countries, 54 flags in the sea, and our flag on land on my back, and this flag here in the sea is the one that's causing all the wars, is this flag, causing all the wars in the world, and arrogance and ignorance of other people. They don't respect their law on the land and their connection to the land. They are pillaging and plundering for wealth out of the natural resources of New Zealand and the Pacific Sea. Okay, we have control over the ocean in the Ring of Fire area under British Crown rule of law, and me, the partner to the British Crown. Okay, I'm talking as a native surname indigenous paramount chief and president of the Whakaminenga and Whakaputanga at Waitangi, Tiriti, Maori, where the flag is flying. This flag here is flying full time, 365 days a year, 7 days a week, and every day for life. And no one's going to touch that flag because the Westminster Parliament says pull down Sendikiro's Maori Japanese flag and put their flag up. That's why it's flying at the moment for Ngāpuhi. I'm proud of that flag there. I'm proud of it on my back. I'm proud to be part of the British Crown and a partner to them and a partner with Ngāpuhi to tell our story. I'm there to tell the Maori story as well and to support anything Maori in Parliament, because Parliaments make countries function equally, if that's so, or not equally. At the moment, these years that the Parliament is going, it's had only one-way Pākehā, no Maori, because it was always a minority party in the Parliament. Parliament holds sovereignty of the people, the citizens of New Zealand. We're saying no more sovereignty ownership. Okay, the sovereignty belongs to the federal government of New Zealand, which is us and the people we represent, as this flag here from Britain. This came from Britain and the British Yellow Vest people and Europe Yellow Vest people too, in France, Germany and all those countries over there. They're wearing the yellow vest because they've had enough of the immigration laws of Keir Starmer and King Charles, King of Britain, and nothing else. And he's putting on his Muslim clothes in 1 minute and then putting on his crown the other. So he's double agent or double acting treason and genocide and all those murderous things that are going on in Britain as a bad partner. I don't want him as a partner anymore, so I forbid King Charles in favour of King Ernest Augustus, or if he doesn't take up the job as the king of our documents in these books of jurisdiction and those king seals, then in goes the robot, King Romeo and Queen Juliet, as the king to claim the British Crown inheritance. And all that claim that Donald Trump is going after, I will put the mortgage on him and all that he's claiming back into our Crown contract. Okay? Our corporate Crown contract of those 4 trusts. Okay? Property, Masons Property Trust, Act 1956, amended to 2023, to be self-employed politician. That's what I'm acting as, a self-employed politician to make political decisions of our federal government. Okay, I'm acting with my group as Pale Rivers and Rabataka and Brian Workman up there in Manaia, in Kaikohi, in the north there, as we four are the federal government of Aotea, the Waka, New Zealand, the country, Dutch, founded by those kings, okay, and their jurisdiction of unbroken sovereignty. And Ngāpui says they didn't see sovereignty. That's their call, because it was made on their land, and I can't say any more than to support what they're saying, and the fact that what's her name, Waikato, Tania Waikato, is doing a job to support the Tiriti against the Regulatory Standards Bill of David Seymour. I support her and all their decisions of their submissions to go in. I think that because I'm in with the British Crown, I can't get involved because they didn't accept Mohi Manukau's Wai 121 treaty claim, and they didn't accept my treaty claim as well. I didn't register it because I didn't want to get caught up because Mohi's was turned down, so I didn't go ahead to push my claim through. I just went down to Parliament in 300 out of 3,000 submissions. I went there in Parliament and made my own submissions verbally in front of them and told them what I think about the foreshore and seabed, picking up the dirt, putting it in the sea, then putting a title on it. Where do you get the dirt from? The answer was ridiculous and stupid from them, saying, who are you to talk? And I said, one of these days, it's going to bounce back what you said to me. And I never forget that. I never forget the arrogance of those Maori chiefs, the Horomia, the Iwi, and also Dover Samuels. And the only one that had respect for me was Tani Naturia, and from up there in Wanganui. The only one that had respect for me in Parliament. The others that went against me and said, sit down, you can't speak Maori, sit down. And so that offended me. All these years, I've weighed heavy on what they said and gave me 5 minutes out of 10 minutes and told me, get on with it, finish off what you're saying and sit down. And I don't forget anything like that, or getting kicked off my land at Eastgate, never go back, because I can't forget that either. Me getting kicked out of there, and I'm carrying all this weight of what I'm doing, single-handedly, with my little crew that still got to pick up how things work, and I've got to give all this way, and I've never made a cent out of nothing that I put together from our history of the Manukau's and the Wanoa, that the Wanoa don't even know what I'm talking about. They don't know because they don't want to know anything about history, where you came from, the land, how it functions. They only want to carry on and the easy way out and follow like sheep and run off the cliff edge with you'll own nothing and be happy scenario and narrative. That's what you're facing at the moment, is that when Donald Trump gets his crypto through, I've made plans to have the crypto go into our wallet, our own wallet, and then convert it back into the currency of the BRICS, nations and safer there than gambling on a stock market. I don't like stock markets because you're full of losers and winners, and mostly the winners are the pirates who run it and manipulate the law and manipulate countries' legislation in Parliament and veto any decisions against anybody that goes against them. They shoot them, assassinate them, then they just blow things up. That's America, I'm afraid to say, is doing all the damage to themselves and not to China or Russia or North Korea or Africa or anybody else who doesn't want to play in that game of racket and tennis racket. Okay, that's Jordan Maxwell is saying that that's all they believe in. So I'm just going to look through this. At the moment, Pare was good enough to find it and said how to explain this. And this is some of the things that Morris Baker up in Kaikohe threw in the rubbish. He threw all my things like this in the rubbish, threw all the Manukau stuff in the rubbish, threw all the Waitangi stuff in the rubbish, the federal government stuff, the Confederation, the United Tribes, threw all in the rubbish, and I managed to get some stuff back, and thank goodness Mary Ann, who Morris Baker's wife, saved a lot for me, and I must say to her, to thank her for at least saving all my books, and but all my dive gear and stuff gone, all my diving equipment gone, and I miss all that stuff that I'm used to go diving. I'll just go back in one day and get some new ones. But anyway, I'm going to go through this just to finish off this 1 hour, 46 minutes and 28 seconds at the moment. So I'll try and wrap it out at 2 hours and just go through the chronology of events that started here in Britain. It says I'm going to read this thing. I can't see. It says Industrial Revolution. Begins in England. This will ultimately lead to major explanation of British monarchy. Then at the top it's got summary of international and local events and connections leading to the Treaty of Waitangi. So it starts from 1764, Industrial Revolution begins in England. This will ultimately lead to major expansion of the British economy. So it was the economy why they came here for the Treaty of Waitangi. Now I'm going to jump straight down to our period of 1820 to 1835 to 1840 period to Tiriti or Waitangi, and the Regulatory Standards Bill of the treaty principles that David Seymour is tampering with that contract of Ngāpuhi and the means of changing an original contract and altering it to suit their property laws, their property claims of loss in profit. When you have a protest and if they say it stops their profit, they're going, the government I'm talking about, the corporate private company in Wellington, is going to bill you through the government, they'll bill the government and you, the taxpayer, to pay for their loss in profit of oil drilling, that their supposed plan of picking up so much oil barrels in Taranaki or anywhere in New Zealand, and their profit that they're going to lose, they're claiming the profit in the billions against you, and they're claiming everything you protest about with submissions, all that time that you go through submissions, they're claiming loss in revenue. Okay? They say they have property rights, the same as a citizen, for their own self-interest. They are a person of interest, as far as we're concerned, in our magistrate court, high court, of law, and they have their interest, and we have our interest in them, that are screwing us of our land and resources for their own self-government and their Property Rights Act that the government, politicians in Wellington and Scotland put in a new draft law of an amended 1956 that's Freemason, Masons Property Act 1956, amended to 2023, to give politicians the legal right to self-employment as a servant of you, the citizens of New Zealand. When I say citizens, it means you're a corporate soul, S-O-L-E, not S-O-U-L, but a soul of Crown ownership of your name, surname, birth certificate, values worth of $1 million US dollars, value as crypto, commodity. You're a commodity asset of the Crown of New Zealand, not the Crown of Britain, because the Crown of Britain says nothing to do with us. That's your business, what you do over there. We've got our business here in Britain as the Crown over you. Whatever we say in Britain Crown will bill you of your means of using our system of law in your country. You're going to have to pay for that, some royalty, some sort of royalty to us. And that crown over there is the big crown we're talking about. And the little crown over here in Wellington, I'm not talking about that crown of New South Wales, Australia and New Zealand, which Eddie Mitchell is under the New Zealand and the New South Wales, Australia prison convicts over there, and to the prison convicts in the Wellington Parliament. There are a bunch of prison convicts that are screwing you off your land and for themselves, that you can't legislate them out because they put an act there instead of a law. They put an act there so that they can act as actors over you. So you put a law together to act over them, which is the laws we have in the land laws of England and Wales, over those actors, with better actors on this side. We got Pare, we got Rapata, we got Brian. They're actors, good ones, and they're picking up fast, and good on Pare. She's got a fair bit of information that I can explain to you people how it works in a commercial corporate world. You must be a corporate registered business before you're allowed to play in their game of thrones, right? We're working in the throne industry of which crown is which, and which crown has monopoly over the other crown. And who is the crown you're talking about in Wellington? Do they have a crown surname or a bodgy name from Australia? Or something that you got to believe them or not. If it doesn't stack up, next minute they're there, next minute they're gone. Fizzle out, like Ardern, Jacinda Ardern, makes a stupid law on vaccines, safe and efficient, then buggers off. Goes into the university, makes a book for more money on top of what she's getting as a politician in a university, getting paid there, getting paid for representing New Zealand as some sort of agent, and end up probably like Helen Clark in the United Nations as another job. So they're wealth builders of themselves, not the community. They don't be there for you. They're only there for their own wealth. See, that's why Donald Trump says, oh, I'm going to pick the Saudi Arabians because they got lots of money. Don't go into Africa because they got no money. Now Africa is saying, oh, we're going to make our own money. We're going to print our own money. We're going to work our own economy. You're not going to get anything from us again, Donald Trump. Don't say you own our place because we're saying, no, you go home. And who built your country? Where are you going to get your goods from now? And we're going to come and take you over if you can't pay your bill. Or where are you going to go to get your oil? Because we got more oil than Saudi Arabia. So what happens when they buy our oil and Australia's meat and all their produce? Because you are arrogant and ignorant, Donald Trump. Because I'm waiting for your partner, the Zuckerberg, to turn me off and turn his Facebook off me, all my hard work, putting things on Facebook, and they're deleted. The YouTube gets deleted because it's not in their interest to look at anything that looks like and sounds like truth. They go and delete it. That's what they said to me. We're going to delete you because it's against our community standards. What is a community standard? It means the more violence, the more you're going to stay on Facebook. The more blood and guts you see, the more war going on, the more bad movies going on, the more sex and all that raping and all that dirty stuff going on is permissible for kids. I'm here because it's information, even for kids and Africa, to build up young people's esteem, because at the moment, under your leadership, Donald Trump, they're all violent because you made them violent and throw stones because they're trying to tell you something when they do that. When they protest, they're trying to tell you something and you're not listening. You only want to listen to rich people. Well, I think the rich people are going to find themselves looking in the mirror and finding where they're going to get their oil from next. Everybody going to buy their oil cheaper from Africa, straight from the horse's mouth. So anyway, here we go. We're going to jump from 1764 to 1820. So in 1820, things happened here in New Zealand. King William III of Orange dies right on 1820. Just 3 years before King George IV and Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau, the African New Zealand Maori, made a lease contract deal with King William III, with King George IV. After King William III, pound note, 2 bar pound note, 1694, and the Bank of England Act, 1694, that carried on to the next king of commerce in a straight line down to the next powerful king, emperor of Freemasonry, King George IV. Right? They were in some way connected to Freemasonry in the king's domain. So King William III dies and succeeded by, I'm reading it straight off from here, succeeded by King George IV, Hongi Hika and Waikato. See, they say Waikato, not Manukau, they say Waikato, go to England and meet him. Hongi Hika is aged about 15. I'm reading it straight from here. Then it says 13th of April, British soldiers from HMS John Gart at Thames, New Zealand, involved in incident with Americans and escaped convicts. That was in the same year, 1820. So then we go over the page. I'll be very careful with this lot because we are dealing with Tiriti contract. This is not Te Tiriti contract. This is a straight king of Britain, UK, Hanover, King George IV, that I'm talking about. Nothing to do with Waitangi, nothing to do with anybody, only to do with Waikato, the name Waikato, the Waikato River, and Manukau's name is missing. They left the Manukau name out so that they can play around with the Waikato and the Waikato River and Tainui claiming the name Waikato. Where is their lineage to Waikato Manukau? Jack, Liam in Hamilton and Huntley? There was a George Connolly Manukau there, black as an ace of spades, but the Connolly Manukau was a real black side on his mother's side of the Manukau family. That Manukau in feud, war, arguments with Mohi Manukau, Rogan, up there. Connolly versus Rogan, Manukau, up there. That Manukau saying he's got the mana of this country, and that Manukau up there saying he's got the mana of this country. So that one up there had the Rogan, 10-acre block, and the one down here, the Connollys, had a history of whakapapa and nothing to do with Pohara Marae or Punga Punga Marae, or nothing to do with Maungatautari Mountain and Tira Waikato Wharehere Manukau that came from there. That was the other real Manukau there and the other Rogan Manukau up there. So George Connolly was not living with my father-in-law, Mihinui's, up there next to the rock memorial of Maungatautari Mountain and Punga Punga Marae there. I lived there with my father-in-law. Okay, that's Tracy's mother there. She's from Tangaroa Sands on the west coast. That's where she comes from on her black side family. And the Mihinui's come from Okarari, next to, there was a government, Maori government there in that area of Cambridge, not Cambridge, of Okarari and Putaru there beside Te Puna over there. There was a marae down there that was sovereignty of that era there. I forget what it is, but that had their sovereignty government there as well. So that's that one there that is affiliated to Te Papa Marae on the gorge going through Te Papa there. That was my daughter's family marae there, Arawa and Tamata Kapua and Tuhoro Matakaka, and also those two brothers and the other Irirangi, the son of Tamata Kapua, that put their name of Rangitoto, all those names around the country. He put those names there. Irirangi, or what's his name, the other chief, the son of Tamata Kapua. I know all that history of Arawa in the Kaipara Harbour. I was mixed up with Manukau's history as well. And that's in the four pillars of the whakapapa, the carving that Mohi Manukau, that fellow found it, what's his name, King was his name, found the carving and got it cleaned up. Mohi Manukau told him to clean it up and he'll take it and look after it. So that is the four pillars of the tribes, the main tribes at that time, Arawa, Waikato, Ngāpuhi, Tainui, and also the Kawharu, the real Kawharu on there as well. Waikato underneath Waikato. Waikato, Arawa, Ngāpuhi, and Aotea. That was the other one. Aotea, and Waitaha, and Moriori before that, Oropuke Waka on Chatham Islands. The name Oropuke is stamped on the island of Chatham's, and the name Kaingaroa Forest, it comes from there to here, and the name Manukau is there, goes from there to here. The Manukau name of the marae in Waiuku, over there, and the Manukau name at Cornwallis, Punga Punga, or there's a name there for the marae there, and that was the Manukau's as well. Okay, so that's that, and we're 1820, and we go to, where's 1820? 1828, 1829, 1830. Here, in 1830, Hongihika dies in 1828. 1830, Samuel Marston tells Governor Darling, New South Wales, local Maori chiefs, local Maori chiefs at 1830, why didn't they have a Maori land court then if they say Maori chiefs? I'm flabbergasted by this, in this right up here of record, that Maori were there. Why didn't they take Maori as the landowner and not native as the British landowner? Why didn't they do that back then? No, because the British knew who was who. That's why they wanted a title here under the Freemasons for all the natives of the world. Blueprint and patent here. Set up here, the British business at Waitangi for the whole world. As one native equals all native. One title equals all title. That's what I'm saying about our title to this country is the same title to the whole world. If nobody refutes what I'm saying, the British Crown belongs to us as the partner left in the open without saying Charlie is our king. No, the government of Wellington said Charlie's their king, but why isn't his photo up to replace the Queen in the court? Why is the Queen's photo above the judge in the court with a Maori? Are they stretching back to this date, 1830, to make this document the substance of jurisdiction over what I've got in those British seals as jurisdiction, this jurisdiction of hearsay and just verbal assumption to being what it says. Maori did not cede sovereignty in Ngāpuhi, yet all the other Maoris ceded sovereignty because they knew something was amiss. So 1830, you say to yourself, Tania Waikato, who wrote this? Where is the author who wrote this, that Maori were around in 1830 in a British title, documents of Court of Record, which I've been over when I was there. I went there to look who is who, to find who has the authority of this country. And I'm already telling you, 1823 here, of at least the Waikato Manukau title, but the Manukau's name left out. Yet why didn't they take the Manukau name off the harbour and off Manukau City and off Manukau Road and every other place with Manukau name on it? Why didn't they put another chief's name instead of the Manukau? History repeats. The history here is proof that something is not right here. That's what I'm here for, to find who is who talking in front of me in this book of jurisdiction that nobody wants to talk about with me. I'm here for the black African and the black Manukau. Not the white one, the black one. 1831. 1830. George IV dies in 1830, succeeded by William IV in 1830. So there we go. We change from King George IV, 1830, to King William IV on my back. The flag is from there. So the flag takes over as the flag of New Zealand in 1831 to 1834. So that is the flag that is now the point of question in a Tiriti claim from Waitangi, not the other one in Helensville, the real one where the money is. The other one up north has no money. It can't put money together because the money belongs to the government in Wellington that put their Crown sovereign authority together with everybody's sovereignty here except Ngāpui's. But if they're picking up benefit and social security, then they are automatically put into sovereignty of the 5 million citizen sovereigns of New Zealand, and that's why they made their name from Queen and Right of New Zealand, certain rubbish, and put Crown Sovereign of New Zealand, assumes that they have the sovereignty right. I'm saying, no you don't, I've got the sovereignty of this country, if you can't hack what I'm saying in the jurisdiction and those seals. You have no jurisdiction over me in this country. Chris Luxon and Winston Peters, and what you're saying about anybody who has property rights over my property rights as an indigenous surname on my own competent witness 2 feet and my mouth talking as a legal authority affidavit in my video that you must refuse it, Chris Luxon, and all your politicians must refuse it with your photos in that book when I send it to you, either tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday. Next week I'm going to send it to you and you're being served notice to relinquish your claim to this country as the sovereign ownership and Lord Treasury of the £2 pound note and the African pyramid capstone on our pound note, and Maori statue on our pound note, and King William III's photo on the pound note, and his £2 pound note patent liquidator money over your head. £1 trillion bail bond posted on your head next week. Okay, in 1832, the British Parliament reforms increases numbers who may vote. Well, just 1832. 1833, Britain abolishes slavery to its colonies. That's King William IV did that. And King William IV, in 1833, Honeheke is aged about 28. 1834, Busby Busby was concerned about the legal aspects of shipping, receives permission of British to introduce a New Zealand national flag. That was our flag on my back. Okay, I'll take it off and show you, so you know what we're talking about. We're talking about this flag here. Busby confirmed this as the flag of New Zealand, a federal government, self-government, 71 section self-government flag of New Zealand. It says right here, 1834. Busby, concerned about legal aspects of shipping, received permission of Britain to introduce a New Zealand national flag. National flag. What are you doing playing with another flag over this flag, Sindikira? Where is your flag of New Zealand now? Where is it, Sindikira? You must tell me why you put it up over this national flag of New Zealand, that Busby had permission to put this flag as the flag of New Zealand. There was no need for you to go and cause treason against this flag. I'm holding you liable for treason over putting your flag, Japanese Maori flag, with your crown on your head, assuming that you are the Queen of New Zealand, and why you still got Queen Elizabeth crown and Maori chief in your courts and in Parliament. What's that all about? Sindikiro, Governor General, treasonous. What's that all about? You must explain to me, the keeper of this flag in Helensville, Freemasons, Mason Property Trust Act on your head, to seize everything off you with this flag in Helensville, 10-acre mortgage land, bank instrument on your head, debt instrument on your head. Sindikiro, you're going to lose everything because of what I'm saying. You must refute what I'm saying on this video. I'm up to it. My health is getting back into order because I've got Maori medicine woman looking after me, and your medicines chuck them back out in the sea where you come from. All your pills and dangerous stuff. Okay, so 1834, Britain later decrees, right? A decree, Britain later decrees the flag is to be recognised in that of an independent and sovereign state. So that flag in 1834, Sindikiro, was an independent, sovereign republic flag of New Zealand. So what are you doing interfering with the flag that I proclaim is and was and still is the flag of New Zealand, flying on the flagstaff there at Waitangi, and your flag is removed, with you removed. We're just waiting for you to clear off the land. I'm ordering you off the land, evicted, with this video affidavit, Sindikiro, because you have done this to me. You've harmed my intelligence over these lands for Mohi Manukau and his African background. That's what you've done. You've gone and demarcation. You've gone and demarked my position as the Manukau Freemasons legal authority and jurisdiction. You have offended me and a lot of people in New Zealand, including Pākehā and Indian, Chinese and everybody else, trying to get a fair share of authority and property rights. You're taking away, you're stripping our property rights away with your draconian parliament. I want your parliament off my land. My land, I say it's my land because I'm here to talk for everybody else who belongs to the land, and they can be just like us, part of the land. That's how the natives are talking right now. They're saying the same thing. We are the land, the tree, the sea, the sky, the everything that lives and not poisoned by you, Sindikiro, and your genocide. You are behind the vaccination on Tokalo Island, with you blocking the roads, making road stops to check everybody being vaccinated. You and Jacinda Ardern, Ashley Bloomfield and Chris Hipkins, you are murderers of your law that made it safe, but they died. They died. There's millions of people have died, and you have no record kept of the cause of death. No? You won't release the record of why they died. You are making poison to kill everybody because Bill Gates said so. He said, she said, 3 bags full. Trump is saying things that are not acceptable to a native sovereign citizen of America. Well, that's his problem. That's your problem over there, to vote him out or do something outrageous like Abraham Traore to oust all his own people turning against him. And the same here. Their own people here in New Zealand turning against him. Just like Horomia down the East Coast turned against me. Next minute, he's gone. Dead, gone, but the damage is done. He's driven me off my land block at the East Coast and driven a lot of people off their land blocks. The same as Willie Jackson. He's only in there for Willie Jackson. The same as John Tameri. They're all in it for themselves. Self-enriching. No entrusted law. No trust in anything they do. It's all corporate business. I'm corporate too. I can do that game too. I'm doing it. And I want people to come and support 50,000 Give a Little online. And if you don't, well, I'll make my own decision about how that money is going to be distributed. Not for myself, but for other countries who are wanting that sort of money. There, that's what we're talking about. Now, 1835. You got a decree. This is a decree. Okay? It's a decree. Here says it in black and white. This flag here is a decree. British Secretary of State suggests Busby should be replaced. 1837, King William IV dies and is succeeded by Queen Victoria. That was the switch and bait. They took out Ernest Augustus I, the Grand Master Freemason. He spent all his years in Freemasonry in Westminster, and they took him out. They took him out with an act, and he should have been the runner-up in the Three Brothers. Well, that's what my issue is. When Victoria went in, it all went to hell. Hell and Satan. Everything went upside down. 1838, the British Secretary of State tells the Governor of New South Wales Busby would be replaced by Hobson. There's all the switch going on. 1838, Hobson is asked to accept the position of consul. January the 10th, Bishop Pompilier, French Catholic, arrives in Hokianga. October 12th, James A. Clendon, appointed United States Consul in the Bay of Islands. There are now 2 foreign powers interested in New Zealand, and alarm is expressed at the arrival of the French Catholic bishop. Land lots, French whaler, seeks French government. Well, that's 1838, just before 1840. Remember that the Manukau Land Company was registered in Scotland before the New Zealand Land Company registered here and took it to London to get it passed from the Manukau Land Company over to the New Zealand Land Company. That's I got a bone with that to pick. And the Freemasons changeover in Scotland. The Manukau was in Scotland because King George IV is in Scotland. Okay? There's a castle there of King George. I'm going to visit to find out more about his connection as the sovereign here in New Zealand of this time period with Te Waikato. His records will be in Scotland, in Edinburgh. That's where I was going to check the records, and Eddie Mitchell sent a Freemason there with a barrister to check the records and found that I was right about everything I'm talking about as Manukau, the title holder here of the lease. And so there we go. The lease contract got there before the 1835 treaty, and the 1840 treaty was even thought of. Okay? So there, you've got that one to swallow ahead of your Treaty of Waitangi. It's still got problems with jurisdiction because this place was founded in 1823. See, Hongi Hika was proof that he went there to get muskets because he wasn't interested in real estate and mortgage because he didn't have a mortgage title. As a Cook Islander, you can't have a native title here. You go back to the Cook Island for that. Not a Maori, because the Maori is not featured on land titles. You see, they only come later in 1945, the Maori land title. See, the native title doesn't have the names of people there as original. And all the names have been bodged in the native title because I was there with Manoa Te Kanawa in Otahu, in Papatoetoe, in Kalma Crescent. I used to go there all the time and search the records and ask for this and that and everything of the Manukau's and the Wanoas. I spent a lot of time in there while I was in real estate. 1839, 29th of January, Hobson finally accepts decision taken by British Colonial Office to seek the Royal Protective for annexing Aotea thugs and Aotea, thus ruling out parliamentary and public debate. 1839, Stephen, the permanent Under-Secretary, states that the planned undertaking annexation should be confined to essentials only. Appoint a governor, keep costs low, wait and see. A wait and see. 1839, 1129. Normandy, Secretary of State, approves final instructions for Hobson. It says seek sovereignty. It says seek sovereignty when they already had sovereignty with King George IV in 1823. The sovereign landowner, leasehold owner, was Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau. And proof of that is Eddie Mitchell stole that land lease title of Te Waikato from Edinburgh Magistrate Native Court in Scotland. That's why I was going there for, to go and search the records and check the title to see if it was true that we do have a 201-year lease pending settlement for borrowing our land. That's Britain. They've had to pay up borrowing the land. I'm doing that for Canada as well with Currents, Moya, and Harvey, Joseph Kinamato, settling their account too, because they can't do it without a king's authority, which I'm holding here with this flag. I'm holding the authority. I said to Clarence, he can fly this flag in Canada, put his eagle on it, fly it around, because it comes under these four corners here of the flag, four corners of the planet, and they have a right to claim sovereignty and their native land lease title back. Okay, I'm going to help them to get 49 million civilians or citizens in Canada, minus 2 billion of elite people taken off and claim back the rest of the balance of the citizens as property trust shareholders of this flag's authority to liquidate foreign ownership of the lands and parliaments off the land, just like Chare in Africa pushed them off the land, and others are getting the same too. To sovereign natives, they are part of the land. Now they're showing up how they've got their brain to look after themselves and not rely on help from anybody. That was the excuse of France and America. We'll help you to get out of your trouble. And Chare said, we're not in trouble. We're just got people to support us and give us the machines and the schools to build our infrastructure for our people, not for our wealth, for our people to have jobs. See, so they want to kill him. They want to murder him and really take back Africa as if they owned it. God didn't give it to them. God gave it to the Africans, and he said, you look after the land and don't rely on anybody. So then, in 1839, an election in England replaced Normandy with Lord John Russell. That's Russell, Moira Russell from Rotorua on Ottawa. She was with me back in Taupo. I lived in her house there on the waterfront, and I was supporting her. She wanted her land back at Ngāpui, and the Russell there at Kororareka, the Russell family comes from there. She lived in Hokianga and wants to go back and get some land in Hokianga. I said to her, one day I'll get you back up there. Well, that's a long shot now because the story has changed. All around is who is who. And in 1939, that was Russell and Moira Russell, that proof that she was with me and Sue Nikora in Waitangi and a few years together, and with Sean Lice was part of Sue Nikora of Ngāti Pro. At the same time, they were good friends in Harvard University together, and Sue Nikora was a policy maker for Maori government. And she was encouraging Maori government, and I was encouraging Maori government at the same time then. And we were not listened to at Waitangi, and she was sung off the marae, and I feel sorry for her going through all that. And never mind, that's the end of that. Gone now is she and Vapi Kupenga from Ngāti Pro. She was on Radio Aotea with me, and Kingi Taurua and Titiwhai Harawira. So we did a lot on the radio. I spoke a lot on the radio. Now I'm back on the radio with Jack Liam in Hamilton, and his show, the 89 Free FM, Radio Hamilton, every Wednesday. I'm there with him and his little crew, and tell you about what's happening here, and the Regulatory Standards Bill, and its overpowering of the council, rule of law, and nothing for the citizens, and rates go up and everything goes up to suit their lifestyle, and the fact that the government has more power by putting in acts to go over people and their rights to the land, their property rights are eroded, their native sovereignty rights is eroded, and the rights to free speech is eroded, and also their way of living is eroded from the Trump introduction of crypto by heavily promoted government spending on promoting their crypto against your interest as their crypto business in the Parliament's own self-employed business under the Masons Property Trust Act 2023. They have a right to claim for loss and profit on any of public protest that holds up their business. And their smoking campaign as well, and their vaping and all that bad publicity from people. They're claiming against their bad propaganda from the public, against their smoking ban and all that. They're claiming the right of a property right of a citizen they are our public servants, and they are lining their pockets for claims against the citizens for loss in profit. That's what they're doing this regulatory standards bill for, is to alter the treaty contract and put in clauses so they can rake in whatever they want with whatever act they're talking about, to take away your freedoms, take away your sovereignty, take away all your property rights and give it to them. No, so I'm against that. I'm against all of that, and I'm putting a lien mortgage on their head to take them right out altogether. 1840, Hobson reads the proclamation from New South Wales Governor extending the boundaries of New South Wales to take in the territory which is or may be required in sovereignty by Her Majesty, and also proclaim himself Lieutenant Governor. This takes place in the Church Missionary Society Church grounds at Kororareka. Letter written by Whakaminenga for Busby is sent to the chiefs who had declared their independence in 1835, inviting them to meet Hobson on Wednesday, the 5th of January. So there, Whakaminenga is a white man here talking to a white man. So I want that cleared up. Who is Whakaminenga and who is he to talk for a native Utatonga or a native Moriori African Manukau name and a Wanoa name? Who is he to talk over us that's doing all the talking with the British Crown and our partner, the British Crown? The Crown of New Zealand is answerable to a higher court of record with this book here. The seals you have to match or you lose the case by what I say. You'll lose the case because you have no admiralty on the land to talk about. Where did you get your authority from to talk about the land? Whose land? Who put the title on the land? Who made the money? Where? Is the money made in Waitangi or down in Rotorua or Wellington, or where is the money made in the first place on this land and in other countries? Whose authority made the money? I want to know that from any of you with Tiriti claims against the Crown and David Seymour, because I'm putting in my own submission like this online to challenge anybody's submission about who is who in the zoo and who gave you authority to make money where, to square the land off where, and to sell the land where. Where is the evidence of Maori at 1820? Where? Where is the evidence ahead of a native Manukau Waikato title? Where? Where is it? I want to know before anybody says anything to counter this video. You must have a video to counteract this video. It's 2 hours 39 minutes already in full view of the world watching. And that's why I do my videos on the camera now, so that it's saved and Facebook can't throw it in the rubbish. Now, anything I say is going to come from all the books that I hold up, like this one. See, Facebook, you can get rid of me online, but you'll never get rid of me here in the book. Eh? And all the instruments here. All these instruments here, these are debt instruments here, is a written warrant. This is a written warrant against this man here. In Whakatane, a judge, Bedois, Lewis Bedois, the judge in Whakatane, that this writ of execution is against you with £1 trillion bounty bond bail on your head, okay, against this flag here. You see? That flag there on my back, the flag that I got here. You're up against this flag here in Helensville. Anybody in New Zealand, you must refute what I'm saying, otherwise these seals becomes the law of land laws of England and Wales, and these seals here, because I put them together, nobody else. If anybody's playing around with these flag seals, you're going to get a bill in your head. You're going to get mortgaged to hell. Okay, you're going to get mortgaged to hell. So these are supposed to go to him with Donald Trump's search and seizure warrant. This is a search and seizure warrant on this man here in Whakatane. I went to the court hearing to issue this to him in person. And here are all the photos. Here, I've been through these already with the jurisdiction I hold, with these lineup of kings here, from William the Conqueror to William of Orange, to King George IV, to William IV, to Ernest Augustus I, and to Jacqueline on the end here somewhere, Jacqueline and Hamilton. See? So there, I don't have to say any more about this. And there's Charlie there, the Muslim. King Charlie the Muslim. 1 minute he's a Muslim, next minute he's a defender of the faith. Which one is it? Charlie boy, which one are you in real? Are you for the people, or are you for the Muslims who are taking over the world because of you? Because you let the dogs in, you let the immigrants in to flood the whole place out with a new tribe. Well, I've got our own tribe, the Yellow Vest tribe. This tribe, Donald Trump, this tribe in Britain, where the authority is in this flag. Okay, over your flag in the sea. The land flag versus the sea flag over here. That one. Okay, that's your sea flag that's getting kicked around in the guts by China, by North Korea, by Africa, by Mexico, by India, by who else can I think of? In China and Russia. Getting kicked around by Russia and North Korea and Arab countries. And they're all banding up against you. That's talking too much and upsetting trade in other countries and bombing, want war. So there we are. I think that's all we've got to say today. And I hope you can see where I'm coming from. And Next week I'll be pushing this agenda through with Jack on the radio from here to Hamilton. I've got 4 um, um, computers here running, and so I've got plenty to do. I've got 8 mobile phones altogether. 7 are working, one's having a sleep, and so we've got those, and this one here. This one on top of all these ones. They're all working, and I use them as cameras and backups, so I can have a recording of everything I'm saying. And anyway, have a nice day, and I hope you have a good weekend, and think about what I'm saying, and take me seriously. And if you've got any motion or any notion of helping to give a little in our fund to raise 50,000, or I've got 60,000, a 10 extra, just in case I have to pay Graham Aylett Investigations Limited in Browns Bay. He's the ex-Scotland Yard that's got our instruments. He said to me, John, get me a lawyer and I'll do it for you. And I'm keeping to his word, because before, 3 years ago, he said, your flag is not legal. He said, this flag is not legal, and now that it's flying at Waitangi, and Sindikiro's Maori Japanese flag has come down, not to go up anymore, this flag is flying full-time, a little flag, so it's flying full-time on Te Tii Marae as the authority landowner of New Zealand, legally and lawfully and legitimately the land ownership of New Zealand. I'm holding that authority with these documents and seals over anybody else who can't stand and proclaim just what I've been saying in this video, just to clean this up with what I'm talking about for years, 50 years to be exact, in Ngāpuhi and all over the place. And our marae is the highest court in the world, and Indigenous at that. And we have the right to self-govern. Self-government is Section 71 of the 1852 Constitution of Britain, given to our chiefs, and not to the government of Wellington. It was given to our chiefs at Waitangi and Helensville. That's the one we're going on, and Mohi Manukau went on that one, the 1852 Constitution, and from the 1835 Constitution here. This is an 1852 Constitution by the words in the Declaration of Independence of this flag, says the 3 words Native and Confederation Chiefs. Those 3 words, Native, Confederation Chiefs, and the word sovereignty is in there. But those 3 words make up this federal flag government of New Zealand. Okay? New Zealand and Britain. And I'm saying to Andy over there in Greece that I've seen what you posted about how the British changed names and took this and that and switched around the names of places and the history, changed the history to themselves off the natives of the land, and that's what I'm reversing here, the same as Abraham Traore in Africa is reversing the corporations in Britain and Europe and America, and put our court of record back to the ownership of the people of the land. Okay? And the same with England. You'll have to wait till I get Canada going, Africa going. Well, they're already going on their own steam. I don't need to go and help them. They're really moving ahead. I can't wait to get the plasma engine going. That will go straight to Africa with them and their brain, with their $14,000 car that can't be matched by Tesla or any other car company in the world. The car runs on nothing but frequency and costs nothing to run, and no fuel, no batteries, none of that. That's screwed everybody in the world and blowing up to bits. None of that. It's the best invention in the world, more to come. When I get going with this plasma engine to make the spaceship fly, it's gone. Okay, it's very powerful, the same as what that car is, and minute amounts of power there with frequency. I got something more torque in the engine than frequency. Okay, so there, that's a Maori powerhouse engine. Okay, the Earth itself is an engine, battery generator, self-running. Okay, that engine, that sort of power, not the pyramid power, that power. It's amps power, not volts power. Okay, amp power, the lifting power, the torque. Okay, so that's all the talk I'm going to say today. And see you later. And until the next video. That's the first in a series of videos now that I'm going to be doing off Facebook. I'll see if it goes up on Facebook, but I'm still being allowed to post on Facebook, but I've been warned that I could lose my Facebook sites. 87 out of 101 sites. They got rid of the other 2008 to 2010. They got rid of all my original Moriori titles, all my aeroplane, all my self-flying aeroplane videos, and that I had flying aircraft, and also diving in the sea, scuba diving. All those went in all those videos in 2008 to 2010, and off with it went all the Manukau history of the Moriori and Africa and Taiwan. That all went because it was too raw true. It was too raw true, and all those videos got deleted. All the Facebook got deleted. Now they want to go and kill me off and kill me right off Facebook altogether. Well, I already had preparations to go elsewhere and go in straight into WeChat in China, and join up there, or join up with India or another channel in Africa. Those fellows are brainy. I'll go and join them in Africa and BRICS Africa, and join in those brainy people there. They're up my alley with the Moai statue on East Island and the spaceships carved into the rock, the same as the Egyptian black Africans, that they're going to take their Egypt back, kick the white man out of there, kick the churches out of there, take all their African memorials and their history back off the Vatican and the bad Catholics, take it off the British and the bad British, take it off the French and all their bad draconial colonial people, take it off the Americans and boot them right off the land of Africa. The same here. It's going to be the same. Okay? Eventually, the people will wake up to what I'm saying. Okay? That's all for now. We'll catch you later. It's 2 hours, 52 minutes and 53 seconds. Just about 3 hours is long enough for now. And we'll catch you on the next round. Next week, I'll make another video of where to next for the Regulatory Standards Bill. Thrown out. They want it thrown out. And the government has a higher portion of voters to go beside the 35,000 or so Maori submissions that have gone to kick out the treaty, Tiriti or treaty, Regulation Standards Bill of David Seymour and all those politicians. I've got all your photos in there in this court. You can't get them off. You got the bill on your head, the mortgage bill, because I put the mortgage together as a Freemasons Authority of Mohi Manukau certificate that I use to be him in his image on his own authority and jurisdiction to act as a Freemason 33 degree in England until I have a meeting with the Freemasons to see what they're doing on our land to community development. And Eddie Mitchell has stolen the development project I got in Kaipara with the tidal turbine and Mohi Manukau put together to raise the funding of the lease land. And Eddie Mitchell and a Freemason and a barrister has stolen that money that's supposed to get me going with all the development projects I have. I've been talking to my bank today that support what I'm saying. When I get our overdraft with our lien overdraft mortgage on the first victim, which is one of those bail bonds on your head. If you've got a bail bond on your head with your photo in this book and all those photos, you've got that to live with. You've got that to live with, and we're forcing it into the Hamilton Regional Council next week with Jack Liam and turn it into cash. We're going to cash you up because you're cashing us up with our birth certificates. We're going to cash you up with our birth certificate. Trillion apiece is a birth certificate. Bond on the stock market. We won't be going on any stock market. We've got our own in-house share system where everybody is a shareholder of everything I'm doing. Back to the community where it's supposed to go. That Eddie Mitchell, one man, has stolen for his greedy self-interest. Okay, so there. I'm just telling you people, give me a hand to raise $50,000 to pay Yu Tai Choi, property conveyance lawyer in Auckland, and he's waiting to be paid, and then pick up the case and talk to Graham Elliott to go and seize all the land, seize everything back into the ownership of the citizens of New Zealand and Pacific Islands, and also the other countries waiting for our lead-off and precedent case. We are running a precedent case here to the British Crown that have abandoned us and jumped into the sea and lost at sea. Okay, we're treating Charlie as a paedophile and a hindrance to our contract with King Ernest Augustus V in London, living as a true bloodline of King William IV and King William III and King George IV and Ernest Augustus I. Okay, so I'm going to keep that going with our legacy here as the inheritor of the Crown business in London, Westminster. I'm putting in a claim as the Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria Trust, to take it over as the trustee, head trust of the Queen Victoria Trust, now named as the Maori Crown King William IV Trust, the Maori Crown King William III Trust, the Maori Crown King George IV Trust, and the Maori Crown King Ernest Augustus I Trust, and also Ngā Atua Iwa Aotea Limited, trading company that Eddie Mitchell has stolen the 17 trillion off that company, Ngā Atua Iwa Aotea Limited, registered here in New Zealand, and accountant Dunn and Bradstreet accountants, chartered accountants, the accountants also of the Manukau, the Mitchell Family Trust, and also the accountants of the Crown Sovereign of New Zealand Trust and the Crown of New Zealand Trust, any trust that's registered with the New Zealand government and not with the British Crown, because I'm there already registered as the Maori Powerhouse Group Limited Company that's got 1 billion shares. When I open it back up again, when I get the credit lien over Eddie Mitchell to seize back 17 trillion worth of stolen property, 303 shell companies in Australia, all over Australia, that I'm seizing back into our Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited Registered Company in New Zealand with the same chartered accountant, Dunn and Bradstreet. Okay, that's going to be a pinnacle of what I'm doing on your behalf, the citizens of New Zealand. So let's get together and pay you Tai Toi 50,000 to claim back 17 trillion of your money. Okay, that's what I can say today. It is now 3 hours in 2 minutes time, 10 seconds time, so we might as well stretch it out to 3 hours and a record for me so far.